Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and welcome back to another Total War Warhammer 3 faction preview as we continue with Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon of the Western Provinces. Now previously we covered Mel Ying with her faction preview, so we have already gone over the overarching narrative for the Grand Cathay factions as well as the shared mechanics. So instead of repeating myself here, this preview will be a rather short one as we will only focus on what makes Zhao Ming different from Mel Ying's faction, rather than repeating myself and wasting precious embargo time, as I am constrained by how much time I can showcase during these embargoes, and I want to save some time for the roster overview later today. So with that said, we're going to jump into here and take a look at Zhao Ming's faction effects. So first up, we have maximum cargo capacity plus 20% for caravans. This is due to the fact that we are in the western provinces closer to the Ivory Road. So we're going to specialize a bit more with the Ivory Road caravan mechanic. We're going to get 20% additional cargo capacity, meaning we can put out more goods per trade and get better returns if the trade is successful. In terms of hero recruitment, we get plus 5 starting rank for all alchemists. So alchemists will start out at rank 6 for us. The max rank of characters are 50 in Warhammer 3. So that's a relative nice boost to have, a few skill points to pick up early on, but nothing super major. We have minus 25% upkeep for all Ogre mercenary units. Now there are multiple ways to gain Ogre mercenary units. You could perhaps have alliance with the Ogre Kingdom faction and build an outpost and gain access to their units. You could have them as part of your caravan events where you can pick up some Ogre mercenaries to join you. So there's a variety of ways you can pick up Ogre units and add them to your army, and you enjoy 25% less upkeep for those units. We also have 15 points of armor for all our melee units. This might actually be pretty huge, as some of the more expendable units like peasant spearmen might become pretty viable for Zhao Ming because there's other boosts you can get on the tech tree as well. In essence, because we are a young lord compared to our sister who is an in lord, we focus more on the melee units, and that's why we have a faction-wide effect of 15 points of armor. In terms of lord effect, or effect that only applies to our leader's army, we have magic item drop chance plus 100%. That actually sounds pretty crazy, so Zhao Ming can farm a lot of items per battle, which is a nice thing to have. Also, for our own army, we'll have minus 25% upkeep for all melee units, so this is a nice additional discount for our first army, for our main lord. And finally, in terms of the harmony, we have plus 3 points of young, which is something we have to balance to enjoy those harmony bonuses. Another major difference between us and our sister is going to be our starting location. Rather than starting close to the Great Bastion, we're actually going to be starting slightly south of the Warpstone Desert. Even though we are the Lord of the Western Provinces, we have been away from our city of Shangyang, and we are deeper south in an area that is infested with some Skaven, Clan Eshin factions that we have to clear out in the beginning. Of course, we could expand into the Mountain of Moor. We're very close to the starting route for all caravans. If you control the territory that your caravan moves through, you get additional protection and bonuses. So that is something you can look forward to doing. You don't have to really defend the Great Bastion as much. You can leave that to your sister's faction, assuming the AI faction can take care of most of the threat, even though you are still responsible for those threat levels. You will still get the threat meter for the Great Bastion invasions that will come periodically, and if the gates are not under your control, you'll still get those increased threats. So that is still a shared mechanic. So with that said, let's hop into the campaign and actually take a look at our starting position.
My sister assumes it is her right to hear the Bear God's testament. But you will help me reach Ursun first.
I will guide you to the dying god. You require a grand legion, and for that your traditional lands must be tamed. Rat men have always infested the Warpstone Desert, but the god's roar has emboldened them. Destroy these Clan Eshin pests. Further north, Your absence from Shangyang has left a power vacuum that rebels have now filled. The insolence. They must suffer the dragon's wrath. Once the desert is yours, the Tower of Ash-Sher shall come under your dominion. The caravan routes under its control will give you the riches required for the dread expedition into the Chaos Realm. Beware the Great Maw, for the ogres mistake this pit for a god. Yet even further south, you shall find more enemies eager to invade. Disharmony blights Grand Cathay, mighty Zhao Ming. If you are to find Urson, you must restore the balance. Only then will the Dragon Emperor look upon you with fondness.
I yearn to return to my forge!
Okay, so our faction mechanic is exactly the same as Mel Ying's. We have the shared mechanic of all Grand Cathay factions, so there's not too much to talk about there. Our beginning mission is to fight the Clan Eshin army in front of us, which we will fight. It's a slightly more difficult fight than most of the factions that we have covered so far, as the Clan Eshin army has quite a few units. We will be rewarded with an Alchemist, which we have already mentioned that we get +5 rank from our faction effect. Now, the Alchemist is going to be +1 in, so there is going to be 1 point incoming from characters to balance out our 3 points of Young. Although I would still recommend picking up a character early on to offset our harmony right from the beginning. So the same thing applies. We have access to Lord Magistrates plus the Dragon-Blooded Shugin guns. I don't know actually how that's supposed to be pronounced, but these are way too pricey. You can switch the Yin Yang right here. They're basically Dragon-Blooded. They could be our kids, as a matter of fact, because the Dragon Lord's been around for thousands and thousands of years. They had kids with humans, and those humans would end up having more kids, and the bloodline would be diluted. So these cannot transform into any dragons, but they do still have ability to perform magic, which is a cool thing to have. Basically a different type of lord that you can recruit. Now, what we will do here is I'm going to just I'll pick up a strategist here, just to create this balance. And as we mentioned before in our Malian guide, balance provides so much good effect that I feel like this is something that you sort of have to do at all times to try to maintain your harmony. It's going to be central to Grand Cathay playstyle. Now, if you did not watch our Malian faction preview, I highly recommend you to watch that one first, because I will explain all the faction mechanics in greater detail. Here we're just really exploring our starting location and what makes the gameplay a bit different compared to our sister in the north. Now, we have obviously different diplomatic factions around us. If we take a look, there are a couple new Grand Cathay factions, as you can tell by the flag. We have the Burning Wind Nomads that's south of us, and the Jade Custodians, who are slightly north of us. They're kind of in the central Cathay region. So there's at least 4 Cathay factions that's not playable. There is also the Cathay Loyalists and the Celestial Loyalists, or the Cathay... I forgot what's one of them called, but one of them is called Celestial Loyalists. They hold the Weijing capital, and then we have a different faction closer to Meiying, and then these two here. And obviously we can set up a trade deal with some of them. Unfortunately, we don't have that many willing partners. We do have a few, and we can start out getting military access, even out deal, even though it's not really balanced. We'll kind of ignore that for now. If I am going to end up playing a campaign, I'll actually fix that just to get that to 0.
For the dragon.
So that's good, and we'll also set up
Long may we both
a deal with the Burning Winds, get a little bit of money there.
Agreed.
And I would like to trade with our sister too. As much as she might not like us, we can pick a fight with perhaps the other rebel lords closer to her in Nanyang. That will be a way to contribute to her, as they could come down and fight me instead. There we go. pick up some trade deals so that we can get some nice income boost. We can also set up deals with the Ogre Kingdoms if we wish. We have to just somehow improve that relationship. We need those alliances if we want to build outposts and pick up some Ogre mercenary units to join us. Now, aside from that, our settlement here in Hanyu Port is not our Warpstone Desert province. It's a different province to the south of it. We're kind of away from our Warpstone Desert location. We have the same exact buildings as our sister, and they also have the harmony aspect, so we're not really going to talk about that. Cathay basically share the same building tree. They share the same tech tree, which is why we're just going to save ourselves some time and not really cover these. Now, of course, interesting to note here, as we mentioned earlier, because of the 15 points of armor given to all melee units faction-wide, things like Hardened Bamboo might be a pretty interesting pickup early on for Zhao Ming's faction, because you get 10 more points for those Peasant Long Spearmen units, and they are expendable, so they can actually become quite a useful frontline option, especially if we are going to specialize in having more melee units. You can see they went from 15 points of base armor to ready 30 by default up to 40, which would make them, you know, an interesting choice, to say the least, for expendable frontline. We start out with 2 units that we haven't seen so far, which are the Great Loma Riders. These are basically winged cavalry that we will try to use in the battle against Clan Eshin in front of us. And we have the Fire Rain Rockets, which is this oxen-pulled fire rocket that's the same exact rocket mounted on the Sky Junk that we saw earlier in the Miaoying preview. And we'll see all these in action. Before we do that, though, we can take a look at the Ivory Road. There is a slight difference compared to our sister. It's still the same system. You're still going to the same locations to try to turn whatever amount of cargo you are sending. This is coming directly from your treasury, and you're going to get a multiple back when you arrive at your destination. We have a 20% bonus, which means we can go to 1,200 from turn 1. There are going to be techs that can help you increase this amount. We just will get 20% extra to whatever maximum that we have, and that's going to allow us to yield bigger rewards along this route. And since we do start out right next to the Tower of Ashram, which is the Shangyang Warpstone Desert Province location where all the cargo routes or the caravan routes start, we have an easier time capturing it, and that's going to be our earlier sort of goal to tackle. But we obviously would want the wasteland of Jinshen to fall under our control. There's going to be more territory closer beneath us, and there's actually a pretty interesting faction or territory name down there that I found pretty entertaining. If we look down here, we have a settlement called Qiang, which obviously refers to the Qiang nomadic tribe that inhabited Western China. That was a big problem during the Han Dynasty and the Three Kingdom period. And we have the Qiang cavalry units from Three Kingdom as well. And this is going to be the broken land of Tianli to our south, where the capital is called the Village of the Tigermen, which is currently being held by the Cathay faction. But Tigermen kind of bring up ideas of the Ind potentially as we go south. But no idea what the future holds for the game in terms of expansion, and we're not going to dwell too much on it, as we also have the City of Monkeys to our north. So who knows if the Monkey King will make an appearance here in the future. I am almost certain that he will be a DLC character, but we'll see where he fits in. There's also Abandoned Settlement in front of us that we will probably take over very soon. And our early objective is just to tackle this army right here, which we will do right now, as we have covered pretty much everything. Wuxing Compass is the same. You can't turn the direction until turn 4 here, actually. That's interesting. It's turn 3 for the sister. So it's about 1 turn later. No big difference. And we'll just get this fight started to take a look at the units, as well as our Lord himself, and as well as the items that we'll pick up, because we get the 100% magic item, which is probably one of my favorite things about him. I like collecting things. So let's jump into this fight. We'll be going up against clan rats with shields, clan rat without shields, and some Skaven slaves. It's not a tough army, but more units than most of the other beginning fights, although most of these are pretty much fodder trash units, and they're all melee units, so they're pretty easy to deal with. Let's jump into the fight here. We're not going to gamble for more Winds of Magic. This is fine. We'll kickstart our deployment. That's going to be our Ancestral Warriors, which we will put to good use. And here are the Loma Riders. They're pretty much heavy cavalry. They have less number than a cavalry unit, but obviously they fly. You can flank very easily with them since they do fly. You can fly behind, land them, and have them charge from behind at whatever angle you wish to have. We are downhill, which is terrible for our cannons. I want to find a good angle for our cannons, but this is probably not possible. Maybe here? There's going to be 4 per unit here. Much better than the Sky Junk, which only has 1. But the Sky Junk is in the air, safe from melee units, and also with elevation you have better angles for the shot. Whereas here we have the problem where we're not going to really find a good shot here. Well, at least these 2 units are close together, creating that harmony for us. We're gonna pull the melee units.
Peasant archers!
And then we'll apply the multiplier as well. When we're in human form, we have the amplifier for harmony, granting farther bonuses for all of them in terms of reload speed. I wonder if they can get that shot off. Let's just see. Can we?
Be in no doubt that the Emperor
It
is
says
watching.
firing, but are we? Oh, we are.
He expects only glory.
I don't know if we'll get hits with this angle. Whoa, the bombardment, it's awesome though. Not much ammo, but we'll take it. We have a few spells. Reduce enemy armor. And a damage spell. Dragon's Breath. We'll try to use these. If we turn ourselves into a dragon, we'll also lose access to most of our spells as well. Yeah, the terrain's just really bad. This downhill is just tough. At least they're all melee, so it's hard for them to actually do too much to us. And we'll let our fire rain rockets finish their bombardments. We don't have that much ammo. If they do get closer to here on the edge of the hill, maybe we'll get more damage done. Okay, we're gonna start sending them off. And we'll try this landing trick. Hold. Land. Flank. We ended up not using these. Let's summon them here. Let's do a fire breath here. And we'll also lower their armor. Protect our cannons. And it's time to do a little transformation trick just for fun. We actually keep the Dragon's Breath. There's basically like one spell you keep. Melian doesn't start out with the one that you could keep, so I thought maybe we wouldn't have it either. But we will. I'm worried about friendly fire here, although they seem pretty accurate. We'll go fight him. Just knock back, guys. Don't worry, we're not killing our own guys. They should be firing soon. This is actually a decent angle. It might be easier for us to fight him when we're a human. Ooh. that little fire coming out of our hand. I'm surprised he's not routing due to army loss, because they're all routed. Are Ancestral Warriors timed out? I think it's only 120 seconds. Oh, they bounce back. That's why army loss is not kicking in. But that flanking was awesome. Let's go back in the air. Just gonna halt that. Can we target generals? Yes, we can. Or lords. And we'll let him take care of it. Let's just go back. Chase them down. Too many stranglers. They're having a hard time picking out targets. I mean, now that they're all routed, how are you sustaining your... Oh, there we go. Army loss. Alright, we got him in the end. Wasn't the greatest, but we got ourselves the item. So this is a pendant, a pigeon plucker pendant, a common item. We'll get 3% hit point. We'll get a passive ability, a hex that will apply -5 melee attack to 35 meters. This affects only flying units. This is a pigeon plucker. There's a lot of fun items in the game. We did take a bit of damage, but we could just heal all the way up if we want. Yeah, why not?
In labor, they shall find purpose.
And we got ourselves an alchemist, which turns our yin yang back to yang. Oh, interesting. Alchemist is actually yang then. I guess they could be yin or yang.
Alchemist of Shangyang.
Is that how it works? That's what I'm wondering. Or are all alchemists yang? Was to send him to join our army, recruit 2 units. Alchemists have different abilities compared to astromancers, which we saw in our Miaoying preview. And in particular, if they're embedded, they increase your campaign movement. This can be increased if you increase the skill of them. Unfortunately, this event does not give you the +5 rank. It's not like the normal recruitment that you would get from the settlement. I wonder if they will change that, because that makes this alchemist, although free, a rather, 5 rank short of what you expect. You can assassinate enemy heroes, you can hinder replenishment of enemy armies, you can damage buildings in settlements if you use it on enemy settlements, boost income for local effect, and increase mobility for embedded effect.
The celestial blacksmith.
And we're supposed to claim basically empty settlement. That's pretty much the first turn, and we're not really gonna play out this campaign like a let's play, because I typically avoid that for the preview period. We're just here to kind of showcase what the faction's about, and since the Grand Cathay factions play very similar, there's not too many things different. We're gonna keep this one relatively short. We saw the fight, and the main difference is where we start, right next to the Great Mall, close in the desert, in the Warpstone Desert. A lot of places to take down early on, pretty much descending factions, and there's going to be the Skaven threat as well. Those are the things we have to be concerned about. We have to retake the entire Warpstone Desert provinces as well. There's a different descending faction there. This is where the Tower of Ashar should be like right here. It's in fog right now. Maybe, yeah, that's where our sister starts. This is the tower, and we can pick it up, and that will be the start of all the caravan routes, which is going to be pretty key. Actually, it's played here. But that's essentially how the faction plays. We have more bonuses to our caravan. We're closer to the Ivory Road. We have better relationships with the ogres, or we should try to have better relationship with the ogres to pick up mercenary units from them and leave the north to our sister, expand perhaps into the south, into the Mountain of Morn. And that's really the main difference, as our sister will focus more on defeating Kairos, which is like right outside of the Great Bastion, restore the Great Bastion, just pick up her territory around the Nanyang mine, plus I think one more settlement there to finish her northern province. I think Gunpowder Road is the province name. And then she has to go over here and take care of the Zinch threat, which we kind of see from the corruption in the land, and then restore all the gates, hold from all the attacks. It's a slightly different objective, but deep down inside, our goals are quite similar in that we are racing to save Urson so that he will return the favor and provide us news of our sister, Shenzhou, who has disappeared and has last seen by Urson to restore balance to our faction. So that's going to do it for our faction preview. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. We're going to be moving on to Scarbrand a bit later today, as well as covering a few of the unit rosters for Grand Cafe and Korn, as I am finally allowed to showcase custom battles, so we can see all the units up close and personal, take a look at their stat cards in greater detail. And finally, at the end of today, we'll be doing a Harmony Guide, just covering the details of all the intricate parts of Harmony, so that we can focus on how to achieve the Harmony effect to enjoy those bonuses. So that's going to do it for this preview guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!